Hey, welcome back everybody. It is now June 26th of 2022, and just a couple of days ago, we got the official release of the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series finale that really gave us a conclusion for some of the characters' stories like Reva, Owen and Beru Lars, as well as the Bail Organas, and of course we also had everything to do with the conclusion of Obi-Wan Kenobi's story against Darth Vader. Now, of course, we already know that a Season 2 is currently in the works to really bring a actual, further story for the character of Kenobi to actually explore the world on Tatooine. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But anyways, regardless of that, this is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the Kenobi series is that we do know that there were a lot of editing flaws in the show from Episode 1 to Episode 6, through and through. Consistently, there were editing flaws time and time again. There's no doubt about that. In fact, I think it was one of the most apparent things about the Kenobi series is how bad the editing was at times. Not just the editing, but some of the CGI actually came off as looking very unfinished, underdeveloped, and just didn't really come across as all that authentic when it came to some of the snowspeeders or some of the other ships in the actual series as well. Now, on top of all of this, what's even all the more exciting has everything to do with creator Jon Favreau and what he thought about the Kenobi series production and what he had to say a little bit about the finale and the Kenobi series as a whole after he was questioned about the Mandalorian Season 3 and 4, which, by the way, in case you guys did not know, he is working on that back-to-back. Favreau is a very important guy right now, and he is doing everything in his power to really bring Star Wars back on track and back in action. Now, with that being said, however, what's even all the more exciting is that with Jon Favreau currently busy with numerous Star Wars TV shows for Disney Plus and others that have yet to be announced, he was recently questioned about his thoughts on the Kenobi series and its finale that recently aired a couple of days ago. Jon Favreau went on to say the following after being questioned about Mandalorian and the Kenobi series, stating, "I recently watched the finale with a couple buddies of mine who are also Star Wars fans, but not the finale with, of course, a lot of fans had issues with. Like, of course, when you look at that and when you listen here, it needed a lot of work. Let me just say that first, it needed a lot of work with some of the editing. Number one, some of my friends weren't really into the whole shaky cam thing, and as a creator, as a filmmaker, okay, somebody who just loves making stories, I would have never went overboard with the shaky cam styles, like how they did this in the show. It didn't really seem to fit the angles they were using or whatever they were going for, so that was completely not in line with Star Wars is and exactly how it works, and is usually going to actually do and be made for some other movies out there and fits other franchises better." Now, he goes on to say that number two, what I want to go over that I realize is when Kenobi and Vader are confronting each other on that rocky moon, we have Kenobi speaking to Vader with his messed up helmet, but then suddenly the lightsaber hums magically disappear. I was watching this with my guests at my home, and I said to myself, where are the saber hums? Is it just me? Look, listen, I respect Joby and Deborah for what they did with the show, but the real thing I need to point out to, of course, perhaps show the editors what they can learn from is that this show has a ton of flaws in the editing, more so than I can point out in 10 minutes that I have to talk right now. Now, let me just pause right here for a second before we move on to the more involved stuff of what Jon Favreau has to say about this. Now, he actually brought up that even he himself noticed the editing flaws and the poor, shaky cam style that was used in the Kenobi series, and I have to agree with all of that. I don't know about you guys, but I really noticed this actually consistently from, I would say, I started noticing it a lot in Episode 3 more so. Especially when Vader is actually getting ready to fight Obi-Wan Kenobi. There's a lot of shaky cam, and it never ended from that point forward. The use of shaky cam, I don't know what Deborah Chow was thinking, or Joby Harold, but the shaky cam use was extremely distracting. I don't know why they used it, I don't know what made them think that shaky cam would work in an actual duel between both Vader and Kenobi, let alone the final duel. They even used the shaky cam in that actual duel in the very beginning as well, and it just came off as very weird. You guys may or may not have noticed that at the very end, when Vader is talking to Palpatine. I want you guys to focus on this. When they close in on Vader's face, it actually still has a shaky cam where there's nothing really happening. It's just Vader in his throne. And they're even doing the shaky cam there. I don't understand the style, it just kind of makes it look more amateur, and that's just how I feel. But Jon Favreau has a point that the whole shaky cam thing never made much sense. He's pointing out all of the editing flaws here, as well as others that we're going to be going over as well in the actual series. I like the fact that he brought up the whole lightsaber hum. You guys may have noticed this as well, that there's a lot of portions in this show where Kenobi and or Vader are using their sabers. They begin talking to each other, and the Vader hum completely just vanishes, it disappears. You don't even hear it anymore. And it really just baffles me as to how the editors could have made such mistakes like that. So, moving forward from all of this, alright, Favreau goes on to state the following. This is why I feel fans are having problems with the story, is how Kathleen Kennedy really pushed for it only being a 6-part series, when they originally wanted it to be 8. They really needed those 2 extra episodes to spread things out a bit more, and I will never understand why Miss Kennedy didn't want to move forward with that decision. Of course, I am a Star Wars fan as much as everybody else out there, so I understand why the people are saying things about this show. If anything, this has taught me a couple of things about these shows. You learn from your mistakes, and it's all one big learning process. It just really frustrates me why Kathleen Kennedy didn't want a 8-part version, but hey, I guess they had their vision apart from what Jon Favreau, of course, said here, alright? He also goes on to say, behind the scenes on top of that, also, apart from what Jon Favreau had to say, separate from all of that, everything that happened behind the scenes, Favreau, believe it or not, was in the talks to join the Kenobi series in the very beginning. So, I don't know if you guys knew this, but Favreau was in the talks to join the Kenobi series, and that eventually fell apart because Kathleen Kennedy did not want him involved at all, whatsoever. And it never really made much sense to me as to why Kathleen Kennedy did not want Favreau involved. Well, it kind of makes sense now. It kind of gives you a bit of a dose of reality as to why she wanted nothing to do with Favreau on the Kenobi series, is because he knew that things needed to be done a certain way to please fans. And if it were to be Favreau and or Filoni or both, right? There's no doubt in my mind that the Kenobi series would have been a night and day difference in comparison to what we got with episodes 1 through 6, right? So overall, when you think about it like this, we already know that everything related to the Kenobi series, it's had flaws from point A to point B. And there are moments in the show that are very impressive. I will point that out. There are moments in the show that are very well done. It has its moments. So Favreau pointed out a lot of editing flaws here, and also the fact that he was very surprised and shocked that she wanted nothing to do with an 8-part show. She wanted to dwindle it down to 6. So overall, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.